What's going on, everybody? Joe McCall here, Real Estate Investing Mastery Podcast. We're going to be in a really good episode today talking about land investing, one of my favorite topics. And I'm excited to talk to two guys, Justin and Adam, who have been doing it for a long time. I've probably interviewed everybody in the space that it has a podcast or does videos or teaches about land investing. Also, a couple guys that just do it and don't teach it. I love in land investing. It's something that my boys and I have been doing for a few years now, 2 or 3 years. I'd say over the last 2 or 3 years, we've probably flipped about 35 vacant lots in North Carolina, in Texas, Washington, and Oregon, and Colorado, and even 1 or 2 in California, in Riverside County, believe it or not. But anyway, it's a cool business, and I like it because my boys who are teenagers can do it. And sometimes, like when you're dealing with a house, there's some more complexity to it. Like land has its own complexity, but with houses, I didn't know if I could trust my 13, 14-year-old boys to kind of negotiate with sellers. But with land, you don't even talk to sellers until after they accept your offer, which is crazy. So anyway, we're going to be talking about, my dog is, sorry about that. We're going to be talking about land investing with Adam and Justin from the Casual Fridays REI podcast. So I'm excited about that. But first, a couple things real quick here. This podcast is brought to you by my book. Some of you guys don't have this. I've had this out for, about a year or so, but it's called REI Secrets. If you've not heard of this book, you need to get it. It's like a legit book, right? And it's got not like 20-point size font, but it's a real book. And the way I wrote this, I just wanted to do it as like a kind of like a devotional for real estate investors, where it gives you daily nuggets of real estate investing wisdom, and where you help you, get more leads, close more deals, make more money. And basically what I've done is I've taken some of my best podcasts that I did while I was driving around in my car, turned them into blog posts, and then edited them for a book. And you can get this book for free at reisecrets.com, reisecrets.com. All I ask is you pay a little bit, $7, I think, for shipping and handling, and I get it out to you. But it's a real good book. Somebody told me once, I think he was maybe had a little too many beers, but he said this was the tool of titans for real estate investors. And I was pleasantly pleased and surprised to hear that. If you've heard of that book, that's from Tim Ferriss. Okay, so anything else? Yeah, so we're broadcasting this live right now on YouTube and Facebook. So if you are listening to this or watching this live right now, please do me a favor and say hello. Tell us where you're from. Comment down below this video, either in Facebook or YouTube, and just say hi. And if you have a question about land investing, well, this is a place to ask it. Ask the question right now in the comments below for Adam and Justin, and I'll ask them. I'll bring up your questions, and we'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Cool? Are we ready to bring them on? Guys, here's Justin Silva and Adam Southey. How are you guys?
Good. How's it going, Joe?
Awesome. You guys can hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Nice. Glad to have you guys on the show. I've been listening to your podcast off and on for how long have you been doing it? Over a year, a couple of years, maybe?
2 years. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's called the Casual Fridays REI podcast. Is that right?
That's right. Yep.
Did you change the name, or is it still called that?
It's always been called that.
It's always been. We used to be 3 days a week. We've just now switched to Fridays only. So we're 320 something episodes in.
Yeah.
At this point, you guys. That's awesome.
I finally feel like we made it though, because we're on the Joe McCall show. I've been listening to you for so long. You're like one of the first ones that I ever listened to.
I appreciate that. You guys got a good show. I encourage anybody listening to this to go check them out. It's just called Casual Fridays REI podcast, and you got some flip-flops on the logo of the podcast. Do you still have that?
That's right. Yeah.
I love flip-flops. I'm wearing them right now. I'm wearing flip-flops right now. You guys are in Texas, right?
We are.
And tell us a little bit about how you guys got started. Have you always been friends? Did you become friends after you kind of found you're both interested in real estate?
Yeah, we've been friends for over 20 years. Went to high school together.
Wow, really?
We were friends in high school, but then even though when people graduate and they go their separate ways, like Justin and I still kind of worked across the street from each other at 2 different jobs. I worked at Subway, worked at Winn-Dixie, and then he worked at an ice skating rink, and I worked for the police department. And while everyone else kind of doing their own things, like we were still hanging out, and we just kind of been friends ever since.
Okay, very cool. And
Yeah,
what
so
got you then interested in real estate? And did you start with
he's being light on how the real estate game got started for us when we had an Amazon company together. It was fulfillment by Amazon, the side hustles that everybody get into, you hear across the podcast spheres. And we had a really big sell on one of our items, and Tiger Woods Foundation came in and bought it. And Adam had been a real estate agent and worked in real estate, had been as an investor early on through college. And I went through the corporate ladder at the railroad and just kind of ran that route. And we had this business together, and he's like, hey man, I want to get back into real estate investing. I heard about buying land and I want to liquidate the rest of our Amazon stuff so I can do this. I'm like, great, we're getting into real estate. And he's like, no, I think I'm gonna do it by myself. And so I said, okay. He goes, but you can do it too. We'll have separate companies. We'll just talk about it and do it together. And
which is not a bad idea, right?
What's that?
It's not a bad idea, right?
No. So he sent out some mail, and I'm working in corporate America, and he sends out a bunch of offers for like $500 for 5 acres, and he's getting them back. And I'm like, holy crap, this thing really works. I will buy every 5-acre property you can get for $500. And then it just kind of went from there, and we just snowballed it up.
How long ago was that?
That was in April of 15 or 16.
16.
Yeah. So I did my first mailing, and they came back. The first 3 deals, 2.5 acre parcels, but I was getting these 5 acres. I was getting 1 acre. I was getting all this stuff back. And this is right after. He loves to tell that story too. Like I just intentionally kicked him out.
Yeah, he didn't want to be with me anymore.
Yeah. But yeah, that's when he really dove into it at that point too. And then we just kind of took off and grew.
When you guys do your podcast, I'm just curious, do you do it in the same format? You guys are in the same room, or do you do it?
Yeah, except we're sitting on
opposite
sides of the table. We're facing each other.
Yeah.
Okay. So where in Texas are you?
Fort Worth.
Fort Worth?
Yep.
I was just doing a coaching call, teaching some marketing, and a realtor was from Fort Worth on the call. And I did some marketing for him for houses, and got him some really, really good leads. Dallas is a great market.
Yep.
But you guys you guys got out of the whole winter storm chaos.
We were both really lucky. Neither one of us lost electricity. I didn't lose water. Justin lost like in 1 sink, I think.
Yeah, 1 sink and a bathtub. We lost some water.
So we were.
Wow.
My family moved into my house for the week, and all his neighbors were at his house for the week, and somehow we skated through it.
And didn't lose power.
Nope.
Wow. Okay. Good for you.
Nope.
Good for you.
We were really lucky comparatively to a lot of people in our area. We had friends' houses burned down. We had friends that had it a lot worse than us, and so I think both of us just tried to help where we could throughout that.
Wow. Can you believe it? I mean, this kind of relates to what I want to talk about, this whole idea of being prepared, being in a place where like, if something bad happens, or if, depending on where you are in the political aisle, if a certain president comes to take away all your guns in case you have any guns, where are you going to go? Where are you going to hide them? Or, I mean, in all seriousness, I'm trying to be funny, and I'm probably not, but like, what if you had a huge storm that came through Iowa? This happened earlier or late last year in Iowa. Do you guys remember that? They called it derecho or something like that.
Yep.
Just devastated half of the state. People were without power for weeks, without water. Like, one of the things that we need to be thinking about is, if this happens to us, what are we going to do? If I lose my house, if I need to just get away, do I have a piece of land that I can go to? I know a lot more people are thinking about this right now. Would you agree?
I would say that is a very strong thought on a lot of people's. I mean, just in our experience through COVID, through this 2020 and continuing on now through 21, land is hotter than it's ever been. I mean, I've been in real estate. This is my 16th year. I've never seen anything like this. And so we saw land go into bidding wars. We saw land sell the day it was on the market. Land.com reported that the traffic to their website is like 10 times higher than it's ever been in the entire company history.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
and that's not slowing down anytime soon, I would think.
I don't think so.
No, it doesn't look like that. It's crazy to think. And you asked a question about being prepared, but a lot of the stuff that we sell is off grid, or it's kind of that survivor type, like where are we going to go and kind of bug out to? Yeah. And we actually had that show last week. Do you really know the little things, the intricacies that you need to be off grid? Do you have a generator? Do you have solar? Do you have firewood that's dry? There's just basic things like that we take for granted in our day-to-day life that we don't see.
Yeah, man, that's a whole nother topic in and of itself. And that could be, there's some people that go overboard with the whole survival prepping thing, right?
Yeah.
But I tell you what, if you're in the business of selling rural vacant land, there's a huge demand for vacant land right now. You know, people aren't they're just looking for something out an hour, 2 hours away, right? Someplace where they can go, and the more off the grid, the better sometimes.
Yep. Yeah. One of my neighbors, a pilot, and they are dead set on having something within a tank of gas drive that they can bury a container and have everything they need. He's been in the Air Force and he flies privately now, but he's on me every time I get a piece of property back. Does it have water? Does it have access to power? And is it within a drive, a gas tank away from us, so they can have that for their kind of a bug out spot, just because they think it's coming to that.
You know, how far, we looked at Jasper County, Justin, a few weeks ago. How far is that from Dallas, Fort Worth? It's kind of east of Houston.
Yeah, that's about 3 hours from us. For me, I'm in Burleson, so you kind of cut across the back way down there, but it's about 3 hours from me.
I'll be talking to you guys later offline about that, but we're really close to getting about 6 different plots, 6 different lots that we're going to be buying at like 15, 20 cents on the dollar. And it's my first. We just started going into this county recently, and we just sent neutral letters, and we got a bunch of them back saying, yeah, we'll take an offer. My sons sent the offers at like 20 cents on the dollar, and we got some accepted, and they're pretty good. In fact, one of them, there's 6 of them, and they're all definitely road access, because there's a road that kind of goes in it, and the land is all around it. But yeah, it's a great time to sell. And the things that we've been just dabbling in it. I mean, maybe we'll do a couple deals every couple months. But just, we've seen the same thing in the last 6 months. The calls and the volume of people trying to buy the land that we're selling is off the hooks. It's going crazy.
Yeah. We have seen deals in 44 states since we've started this. And right now we're closing a deal about every 6 days, 7 days on the sale side. So, nice. I mean, it's constantly just churning. What was taking 100 days, money into, money out, now we're seeing it on the market for less than a week. And then it's the title companies that are the bottleneck from both sides, like getting the abstracts done or the title reports, because the title plants in these rural communities can't handle the volume that they're seeing right now. Yeah.
Okay. So you guys have been doing land for about 5 or 6 years, right? Mm-hmm. Why land? Why not houses? Why did you guys choose land?
I think both of us have done houses prior to. So land was neat because the entry level, the barrier to entry is so low. We have a book out, Coffee Money Real Estate, and it talks about buying property for $50 for a piece of property for $50. So to think about somebody that just doesn't have a lot of money to get started and become a real estate investor, which means I buy a piece of real estate and sell it for more than I paid for it, right? At the end of the day, that's the simplicity of it. But seeing that, Adam talked about his first couple deals he bought for $250, and he sold them for $1,000
a piece. Yeah.
So you buy 3 of those, and you that doubles a lot of people's salary real fast. And so as a side hustle or a way to get your feet wet in doing deals, it's the barrier entry so low, and the risk is not as much as it is with a house. Like, is there termites? Is there a foundation problem I'm missing? Is there a tenant that I can't get out, and that's why they're dumping the house to me? So you can do this virtually with less risk, and talk about the systems that we have in place that help us with that.
Very cool. And what's that book called, Adam?
That book's called Coffee Money Real Estate.
And can people buy it on Amazon, or do you have a website for it?
Or Coffee Money REI.
Yeah, they can buy it at coffeemoneyrei.com as well.
And how much do you sell it for? Is it?
I think that book's $9.99.
Yeah.
On Amazon, it's $19.99. So if you go to the website, it's $9.99 there.
I'm sorry, coffeemoney.com?
Coffeemoneyrei.com.
Yeah, okay.
And the idea behind it is how to buy a piece of real estate with using the money you spend at Starbucks every day.
It reminds me, I was just thinking about this. There was an internet marketing class that was really, really popular. I don't remember, 10 years ago, called Coffee Shop Millionaire. Do you remember that? Have you ever heard of it?
No. That actually kind of sounds familiar.
Coffee Shop Millionaire. I wonder if it's even still available. The guy who did it did very, very well. He was one of the first guys to do that kind of internet marketing and teach it on a big scale. Anyway, so what does your business look like now? And you both have separate businesses, right?
Yeah. So, our land businesses are separate. It's so for me, it's kind of three prong. We have the education that we do together, the media company that we have together, which podcast and that. But I also have my land business, which it specializes in what we call the bass boat property. That's stuff that's sub $50,000-$60,000 market value. It's not all we deal in, but that's the primary piece of our business. Our average, if we talk about numbers all in, our average deal is buy for 15, sell for $33,000. It's average about 20 acres. So this is that recreational piece of property that, I say 80% of our workers, either white collar or blue collar, can afford, because it's kind of like a Harley Davidson, a bass boat, a recreational vehicle. They can go there on the weekend, come back to work around the lunch table and talk about, hey, I spent the weekend at my cabin property, or I went out and hunted on my property. And they get to kind of have that chest puffed up, and they're boasting about it. It's not something they need, but they can sell it to their wife as an investment, and they can enjoy it too.
I love that. Let me ask you some more about that. So a lot of guys, when they start, they will target the quarter acre lots.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done a couple of those, and it's such a hassle. Like, you can make good money with it, right? And I'm not knocking the coffee money book, but it's more work.
It is.
And when you have some capital, then you can invest in the bigger lots. Do you find like there's less competition maybe for the 20 acre lots?
It kind of goes with, if you look at all the different education courses, you've interviewed a ton of guys that have been land investors, like I'll call them gurus, if you will.
Sure, yeah.
And they all have their own methodology and the reasoning behind it. We have found that the bass boat property sells quicker. You can sell it for cash, but you can also offer terms. So you have two exit strategies. And then you mentioned needing the capital. My third part of my business is Plum Investment Group, which is a capital funding group for raw land. So we joint venture with people that don't necessarily have the capital for a 20-acre purchase. They may not have the $6,000 to $10,000, and we put up the money and we split the profits with them. And so they don't have interest payments. They don't have anything like that. So that allows us to make that barrier entry lower to get somebody in a better quality asset.
Perfect.
And like you mentioned, these quarter acre lots, they're really easy to get into. You can buy them for $50, $100, $250, right? That's where I started with.
Yeah.
2.5 acres I paid $250 for. I really wanted to be that guy who had 100, 200, 300 of these things that were cash flowing every month. But it is hard work, just like you said. And then you start making a little bit of money and you can move into these bigger deals. It's just easier, right?
Yeah.
Someone's doing the mail for you. The title companies are closing it. Realtors are selling it. It goes back to a title company on the closing side. All you're doing is like keeping it in order. You're managing that project. And
So
really,
Adam, are you also focusing on the larger lots then? No.
now I am. Yeah. Now I am. I mean, I'd say this all the time. Like, I don't have that desire to do 100 or 200 anymore. I have a dollar amount that I want to make each year. If I can do that on one deal, I'll do it. If I can do it on 10 deals, I'll do it. I mean, my business has transitioned tenfold since the beginning.
Yeah, if you listen to our early shows, we used to butt heads about the cash flow. Like, I want to do all these payments and have all this stuff. And then we did a couple 100-acre deals where we bought them for $50,000 or $60,000, and then sold one of them. I think it was $180,000. The other one sold for $110,000.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do that once, and it was the same amount of mail, you just put up a little bit of money up front, and I think we leveraged those.
Mm-hmm.
So our cash outlay on that deal, on those two deals alone, was probably $6,000 on the marketing material and $4,000 on leverage on
interest.
Interest.
I actually did the taxes on that day. It was $36.50 in interest to make over $200,000
on two deals.
Folks.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's for us is why the bigger deals seem, you hit these good singles and doubles, and then you get one like that just tees up for you and you're ready for it and you just knock it down.
So I wanted to ask you about how you're finding these deals, because I know a lot of people listening to this maybe have no idea, and this is interesting. This is new to them. How do you find these sellers that are willing to sell their properties at such big discounts?
Well, I mean, like our main, it's we're doing blind offer campaigns, right?
Yeah.
Blind offers, you're sending a letter with just a straight up blind offer.
That's right. Yeah. Targeting these bass boat properties. I mean, their counties are 2 to 3 hours outside of a major city. We're looking for pricing consistency. Counties where the market value of the land is roughly $1,000, $2,000 an acre. We're looking for very rural populations. We're looking for good attributes, like maybe there's mountains or oceans or lakes or something like that. And then we pull the county data, or we run the comps up front. Pull the county data, and then everyone gets an offer. That offer is typically 35% or low of market value. And then we wait and see who calls. Who's so excited to sell to us that they just call us. we take it from there.
Adam, you were talking before about when you're dealing with the higher properties now, you can use title companies and you can use realtors to sell your properties, right?
Yep.
Is there a certain price point or an acreage that it makes more sense to close it yourself without a title company, sell it yourself without a realtor? Where's that at?
Well, I think it has to do with how much equity you have in the deal, right? Okay. If you're spending $1,000, you're going to sell it for $3,000. You don't want to close with a title. But if you're buying it for $1,000, you're going to sell it for $15,000. That's more than enough room to hire a title company to do it. Now, hiring a realtor, I think it's a different story. When you're first working in a new county, there's definitely a level. And I think that we've probably seen $30,000, $35,000, $40,000 that level when you're working with a new agent. Because if you go below that, it's like a $15,000 property. By the time a realtor charges 6% or 10%, whatever, they pay their broker, they pay their marketing fees, they pay all the fees. They're not going to make any money. So we have realtors who would take those lower listings from us, but we built a relationship up front. By the time you hit that $35,000, $40,000 market value, if they get both sides or just one side, they're still going to pocket $1,500, $2,000. It'll be worth their time at that point. But at least in our experience, I feel you got to make that connection first.
Are the commissions for land similar to houses, about 5 or 6%?
Yeah, it's 6%, 6 to 10. There's a couple states you see 10s typically the standard for them, but for the most part it's 6%, and they give 3 to the buying agent.
So on a $40,000 lot that you're selling, that would be about $2,400 to.
Yeah, so a lot of times these land. So we want to work with land specific brokers, right?
Yeah.
The ones you see that are they're specialized in houses, they always get it wrong. That's why they sit forever. But these land brokers, they show up looking like they just came out of the woods. They've got mud boots and all that. Well, they've got client list a mile long. And so a lot of the times they'll get both ends of it. So they'll get the full 6% or 10%. And that makes it worthwhile for them.
Yeah. We actually have a land broker in Oklahoma where I think that she won highest land producer and volume for land deals, because I think I've done 20 deals with her personally. And then any of the recommendation from people that came to our live event and worked with her as well. And she wears like the camo hat and her boots, and she carries a gun on her hip while she's in the mountains. And she's like, and her voicemail tells you, I may be in the mountains. I'll call you when I get back down. That's what her specialty is. That's what she does. But she has 10 people on her phone at any time that are looking for a 10 to a 40 acre property in that county. And she calls and says, hey, I got this 40. It's coming in. Y'all ready to go? And I've had to slow her down because I'll have her go walk a deal for me, and she'll take a client with her. And I'm like, hey, it's not under contract yet. And she's like, well, they're making an offer right now, Justin. And I'm like, oh. Are these
realtors okay with marketing a property that you haven't bought yet? You have under contract?
Well, she's just walking it to check it. She just does it. She's like, oh yeah, I got a client with me tomorrow. I'm going to walk it tomorrow with them, and I'll sell it for you.
Yeah. So we're thinking about the paperwork's finished.
Say that again. I'm sorry, Adam.
She'll have it sold and done before you ever get the listing agreement finished. It's like a kind of an afterthought for her, but
yeah, that's awesome. Well, there's probably a little more flexibility with land, I would think.
Yeah.
So do you ever do that? Do you ever double close on a land deal that you're buying at the same time you're selling it?
I don't. I take everything into inventory. So I actually put the cash up and then resell it. Now I've done some assignment deals, but I don't do double closes. Now it's not something that's uncommon. I don't do that.
Yeah, it wouldn't be done intentionally. Like if someone happens to see it and knows it's for sale and it just happens to work out, but that's not the exit strategy for us.
Yeah. Okay. So, about over the $35,000, $40,000 mark, you will hire a realtor and a title company to kind of help you with that, just because they've got good buyers already.
Yeah, I want to clarify that though, because I don't want people to say, well, Justin and Adam said $45,000. Like I've got 3 properties listed with an agent that's sub 20. They're 19.9, but I guarantee her $1,000 commission. So your commission's guaranteed $1,000 because I don't want to take the calls on that.
Yeah.
I can't grow my business if I'm answering sales call. Does it have power? Well, the picture has a power line in it. Yes, it has power. How's the access? Well, it's on a road you see on the map. So there are instances like that where we will make those adjustments and do that.
Yeah. By the way, your audio sounds really, really good.
Oh, thanks.
I brought my microphone a little closer so my audio might sound as good as yours. All right. So, I like that idea a lot because we've kind of sold all of our properties in-house, and taking those calls can be laborious. But when you can get a realtor who can actually go to the property, and if the realtor can't get to the property, guess what? Well, maybe it's not a piece of land you should buy.
Exactly right.
and
That's the nail on the head right there. And one of the tricks that we talk about in our course, but we also, we shared, you give you a little nugget there. When you're going and checking your comps on these websites and you're looking at these solds and the listed, and you see that agent's name at the bottom and they put up a great ad and they have great copy, that's the person you call when you start to work in New County. You don't have to go to these REI meetups and things like that. You can just look at the product that they have as an unsolicited way to say, hey, this person really knows their crap. Let's work with them and let's get them on board and make them our teammate in that county or that state. Because the next question I ask them is, what counties do you work? And they say they work, if they're in Tarrant County, and they say, well, I work Tarrant, Johnson, and this. Now I've got an agent that it's solid, I have a reputation with in 3 counties. I can work all 3 of those counties, and I have boots on the ground. I have teams ready to go.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. When sometimes, like, the model that we've done is we'll buy it at 20, 25 cents on the dollar, sell it for cash, typically is all that we've done, except for one deal we sold on terms. But we would typically sell it at maybe 60, 70 cents on the dollar. We want to be the cheapest property when somebody sorts low to high, right? We want to, at that size, we want to be the cheapest. Will realtors still will they still list one of your properties when you're pricing it that low and aggressive to sell?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't had somebody tell me no on a price. I've had them give me their opinion and say, hey, like I'm listing one right now in Arkansas. I thought it was going to sell at 75, 80, and I assumed that's what it was going to be. I sent it to the broker and he's like, hey man, I'm going to list it at 99.5. Are you okay with that? And I was like, yeah, go ahead and get your feedback for the next 2 weeks because the market's hot. We will know instantly what that's going to do. If it's not, I said, get an offer and always tell the agent that comes out that, hey, we want an offer and let's look at it. So while I don't necessarily want to agree that I want to be the cheapest when somebody sorts, because somebody doesn't sort and say, hey, I want 20 to 20 acres. They're going to sort, I want 20 to 40 acres. So unless they're really good with the sort function and they say price per acre and I'm going to sort it by that, then they're going to miss your property or you're going to leave money on the table.
I see.
Yeah,
and do you ever use
selling on these bass boat properties that we are specializing in? It's not the price that they're buying on, right? It's at that point, it's very much the pictures, the ad. Like we always put listings right at, if not just tiny bit below market value, sometimes a little higher than I feel like it probably should be worth. And we get it because we do quality photos and we'll hire a drone person. We'll make video. We put we spend time making sure the copy's good. We have this motto of like be everywhere. So we're not just putting it one place. I mean, we're spreading this thing all over the place, looking for that right person that makes us price. We don't want to rely on, is it just cheaper?
Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to add on to that because one of the things that we do as a teammate with our agent, because again, you're looking for somebody to be your resource there. We'll run sponsored ads using their links through Facebook, and we'll target major metropolitan areas, the 2 to 3 hours from that major metropolitan area. We target market that. So their link is getting blasted right around their biggest buyer pool. They don't even know what's going on, and they're getting hammered with calls. And like, dude, we don't know what's going on with the market. This property's blowing up. We know why it's doing it. We're not taking the calls. We just put the $50 behind it, drive it to them. They're answering the calls and the emails, and they say, we've never seen anything like this. You need to turn that off. And we've had that happen multiple times.
That's fascinating. So you're running Facebook ads. Are you having any problems? I've heard people having problems with Facebook Marketplace.
Well, no, it's not Facebook Marketplace. We're running it through sponsored ads, like a boosted post. And we use their link. So if it's Lands of America listing 1234, we copy and paste that in. The picture of the property pops up. It says Lands of America. When the person clicks on it, it has all of our agents' information, not ours. It's just ran off our company page.
Same with Craigslist too. Well, we got a guy that he'll do 10 ads a day, and we always put the realtor's information and not ours. And so our agents, no shortage of leads coming in their way.
And so you're doing Facebook ads for your land.
Yeah. And
I've never heard of anybody doing that.
How many clicks we're getting on the spend. So if we viewed 10,000 people looked at it, typically it's about a 10% click if the ad's built right. Like it's like, hey, your wooded retreat in Southeast Oklahoma. And then we hit Tulsa and Oklahoma City and Dallas. And so we'll put sponsored ads in those. And then we'll usually cover a 50-mile radius around the property as well. So it's kind of like a virtual neighbor letter. And now you have 10,000 people look at it, 1,000 people click on it. They will typically get 100 calls off that.
Holy smokes. Do you guys teach that in your course?
Yeah, I think we have that in the marketing piece.
We talk about Facebook. Yeah. I don't know how detailed we go in the sponsored ads part. I think came after, but
so you guys, do you have a Facebook page where you put the post in there and then you you sponsor that post.
It's on our on my on a sell side that we have.
Very good. That's awesome. You don't even need to put your property on a website then, do you? Or do you?
That's part of the be everywhere. We don't want to miss something.
Okay.
So it's that's kind of one of those things for us that I put it on my because remember our websites are separate. I put it on mine just because people like to check and see if we actually buy and sell land. So why all of them don't go on there. We do put areas that we talk about when we're working. It's funny in the investing world, everybody wants to know what the next person's doing. So I never thought it would get to the point where we'd have to split LLCs to where one maybe doesn't have my name attached to it. It's kind of hidden in the corporate docs because people will search your LLCs to see where you're buying and selling. So it's funny that you get to that point, but that's a good, I want to say it's a good problem when you on a podcast or your media and you're talking about buying and selling land that they can actually see that you're doing it versus, somebody says, oh yeah, I buy and sell all this land and you can't find them anywhere on the internet where they've sold.
That's happened to me so many times. It's frustrating because when I'm sending out a letter to absentee owners and they see my name on that letter.
Yep.
Anyway, or they Google you. It's a normal seller. Yeah. And they Google you and they see that you're a guy who sells teaching and does podcasts on
that's right. Yep.
Investing in real estate. And they immediately assume you're trying to take advantage of them. But
I don't even update my website anymore. I keep the properties that we had on there. I can't see who the traffic is, but I've done 0 SEO on my website and I'm getting a massive amount of traffic. I can only assume 90% of people just wondering, who is this guy? They're not the buyers for my land. They're people who listen to the podcast or something, So there's definitely things you've got to keep to yourself.
So you're back to your Facebook ads. You're spending what to get 1,000 clicks? $50, $100,
$25 to $30 will usually generate that.
Holy smokes.
If it's targeted right. And a lot of that's low because you're not putting the price in the ad. So they just want to see what the price is. So, but it does get people to looking at it, which is driving that lead for them. So your agent knows something's going on. But if they're getting, 100 they're getting 100 emails or phone calls out of that, then you're doing pretty well. And you priced it right.
Is the realtor doing the premium listings on Land Watch or Lands of America, or are you doing that?
Everyone's a little bit different. I keep an account that's got 10 slots in it. So if I'm not getting the feedback from the realtor that I want, I'll change the pictures and split test it. So I know what kind of feedback we're getting. And I've had to do that in states where I've got, the agent says, yeah, I can work that county, but it's really not his county to work. And I'll run a test and he's like, oh yeah, we're getting all these showings and I'm getting 2 or 3 leads a day. And I know that he's not responding to them. Mm-hmm. And so you can kind of do that. I do that to split test, but that's basically what it's for.
And a lot of times we'll pick the realtor we want to work with if it's in a new spot by their listings on Lands of America or something.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, I've done that before.
And a lot of these land specific brokerages will have a brokerage account.
Yep.
So it's just part of what comes with it.
Yep.
Right. Do realtors, have you ever used a realtor to sell a property on terms for you?
I have, yeah. Multiple times.
And how does that, do you pay them the regular commissions then?
Yeah. I mean, I don't like I hate to say this, that newer, this is going to sound kind of funny, but newer investors, they look at how to save a penny. If you build a team around you and you've got the resources in county and you do what you say you're going to do, if you said, hey, I guarantee you 6%, I offer owner financing, these are my terms, and they get it for you, they did their job. So pay them their money and pay it quickly. Sometimes it goes through title. Sometimes we'll self-close those. They just ask for, a summary breakdown of the deal for their brokerage. Like a settlement statement, and then I write them a check for the commission. I usually ask them, do you want it to you or do you want it to your brokerage? And I just send them a check, and I've never had one balk at me sending them a check.
It's the same with houses. I tell people that all the time. Go ahead, Adam. Yeah.
Ultimately, the goal is to get enough down payment to cover the commission and the money back, right? We're taking higher down payments for that stuff.
Sure, of course. All right, so you guys send letters, you pull lists. Mm-hmm. Do you guys still use that one service? Is it okay if I bring up their name to get the data?
I don't know who it is. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, go ahead.
Priced. I love Priced.
Yeah, we're heavily invested with Priced. We
let me just spell it for you guys. It's prycd.com. PRYCD. These guys just specialize on land data. They get the data from data tree
too, Joe.
They do.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, they do. So me and Max, we sat next to each other at a live event 3 or 4 years ago. He's one of the co-founders for them. One of the guys that had work with me, we had work with our show. We call him an intern, but he he was doing an exit program from the military. So he worked for one of our companies and then worked for the podcast as well. His name is Brian. He hooked us back up together when they got this thing up and going, and they had a really good, I guess the hardware was really good. They just didn't have some of the dial in of the experience of investing in percentages and to build the algorithm just 100%. So we helped them dial in the algorithm. We spent 20 hours with them on the back end getting it dialed in. And now it's come out really close, and they have the ability to scrape from 2 million different comps and get you pricing. And it's really neat to see what they've come up with. And their customer service is second to none. If you're a new investor and you have questions, you just reach out to them and they help you.
These guys are really good. I need to get them on my show.
Yeah.
In fact, maybe you can hook me up with them.
Definitely can.
They're getting their data from DataTree,
Mm-hmm.
which is one of the best data providers. I think, isn't it the two big data providers, First American and CoreLogic?
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's correct.
And DataTree is under the First American title.
That's correct.
Umbrella. Because I used to get all my data from DataTree directly, super expensive.
Yeah.
And some ways it's better than CoreLogic, but it was hard to kind of figure out. But these guys, if you're at all interested in land, and I get nothing from promoting these guys, they just do a real good job. You can get the lists, and they will give you the comps, and you can on a sliding scale set what you want to make your offer at. But I keep on getting this pop-up that says I need to refresh my browser. You guys do that as well?
Yeah. I just keep going. I don't even know how to do that.
I did it right now. I'm at their website, but cool. You guys should check it out. What are some of your other favorite tools that you guys like to use?
Yeah, one of my favorite for this is and me and you talked about this on the call it's a simple tool. It's really cheap. It's $2.99 a year. And it's an overlay on Google. It's Parlay. And so when I'm looking at Google Earth in 3D, I can see the outlines around it. And, you can search by APN if you want, but it allows me to check access really easy, the topography, and know where my property sits on that. Now it may shift 6 feet because it's GIS. It's not perfect, but it gets you a really good idea of what your properties look like. One for us is our direct mail is the lifeblood for us. Rocket Print and Mail, we have had nothing but good stuff from them. And I'd be willing to bet from us and the people that we've worked with, we've probably sent, what do you think? 5 million pieces of mail through them, 6 million pieces of mail.
I would guess that seems low, but yeah, when it comes to mailing, Rocket Print and Mail, they're awesome.
We haven't found lower pricing and better customer service. And the cool thing with them is they're a complete custom print shop. So they can do anything from postcards to neutral letters to blind offers. Or they've even told us they've done ads where they put a bullet in the thing for somebody. It says like, don't shoot yourself in the foot, use this dental service where so they can do complete things like that. So when we built our course, we said, hey, we want tools that you can go out and shop and get your own tools. We're going to tell you what tools we use because we have found the best and the cheapest that are out there. So DataTree, like you said, it's one of the best providers out there. Priced, gets that data and gets it to our clients cheaper with the lower monthly overhead. And then, talk about the different tools like that. So
what about database CRMs to track and manage your deals?
We are the anti-CRM guy.
Oh, you are? Oh, no.
We both. So I ran my previous experience. I was a chief operating officer at a railroad, or we call it general manager in the short line world. We ran our business off an Excel workbook. So I'm super comfortable in Excel. Adam's the same way. He's got I never say this right. SQL developer, which is a database guy that's based out of Excel. So we both are real comfortable with that. A lot of people like to have fancy CRMs that do all this stuff, and we just haven't found a need for it yet in our business.
I think it's really easy when you're a new business owner to get caught up in the fact you need all this expensive stuff, and the overhead of creating a new business is what kills you. And so like CRMs can be great. I think maybe if they have a place in your business, then add them in. But I hate when I see people drop in $200, $300, $400, $500 a month on this stuff just to start a business. Like it's hard enough to start a business without all this crazy overhead.
Mm-hmm.
So I
used to say, you've heard of Podio, and I was one of the first guys to start using it in the real estate investing space. Mm-hmm. And I started really promoting it, and then pretty soon a lot of other guys, and it was everywhere. But got to a point where I had this saying: if you show me a Podio expert, I'll show you a broke wholesaler. Because there were so many people that were really good at Podio and had it all built up to do this fancy stuff. And you say, all right, show me your deals tab or your app for deals. And it was always empty. It's the same way. People can go overboard. I think it's maybe just an excuse to find something to do.
It's comfort. We are trained to be employees, and it becomes a comfort to have this task to check off every day. When at the end of the day, whether it's houses, whatever asset class, multifamily, if you're not looking at deals, you're not going to be an investor, because you're not going to have deals that you're buying. And so the CRM may keep you organized, but really the lifeblood to being a real estate investor is looking at as many deals as you can and taking the best and trying to get them back to market to make your money, or get them into the rental process to where you're cash flowing off, and whatever your asset is in that medium.
Joe,
very good.
I'm afraid my dog's going to bark like crazy if this guy rings the doorbell. So I'm going to jump up real quick.
Yeah. Let me ask you then, and you feel free to mute yourself too if you want. I don't know if you have your computer there. If your dog starts barking. I have both my dogs here at my feet, so they might do the same thing.
FedEx guy just showed up, and my dog hates the FedEx delivery. So
he hates the FedEx and Justin.
Let me ask you guys, if you, knowing what you know now of how to do land, you put yourself in a normal 9-to-5 job, in a cubic hell, right? I mean, it's just so funny. The other day, well, this is a couple years ago. I was looking for maybe leasing some office space. I have an office at home, and I had a friend who has some software, and I went to his office, and he's supposed to have an office that I could rent. Well, really what it was a cubicle in the middle of his floor. And I walk in there, and he shows me, and I literally I felt like I had to throw up. I had this something in my stomach, like, like I was going to throw up looking and just thinking about working in a cubicle.
Yeah.
And that is enough right there to say, like, I'm never going to go back to that. So to put it in context now, pretend you're back in that cubicle. All right. You maybe know what I'm talking about. And you want to quit your job, and you need to make, I don't know, let's say 10 grand a month to quit your job. Number one, would you do land? Would you do something else to get started making money? Would you go flip Amazon or do Amazon stuff? And then number two, what would be kind of your roadmap to get there as quick as possible? Maybe both of you can answer that.
Yeah. You want to go first? Or you want me to?
I'll go first. I would say, yeah, I would definitely do land. What I would tell myself if I could go back is go bigger, faster. Like there's this I don't know what's the right word, common misconception that like, if you don't have a ton of money, maybe you need to start with the deals that you're spending $250, $300, $500 on, and you're selling them for $1,000, $2,000 or whatever. Right. But especially when you like join our group, money doesn't necessarily become a concern. If you have what it takes, let's say the guts to mail more mail at bigger acreage sizes, bigger price ranges, then the money isn't necessarily a problem. I mean, I don't know how many times Justin has done a deal through Plum with someone who bought for $10,000, sold for $30,000, and then their cut was $10,000, right? That's what Plum was created for.
100%.
And I hope I'm not stealing his question here, right? So it's just, and when I was first getting started in real estate too, someone gave me that advice. They're like, it's just as easy, if not easier, to go for the bigger deals than it is the smaller ones. I mean, you said it earlier, like selling these quarter acre lots is hard, but when you sell a 50-acre lot for $100,000, $150,000, people just show up and say, yeah, this is perfect. Here you go. Take it. Right. And so I think that's where I would do if I could redo it again.
Yeah. If I were to, and I've had this conversation countless times with people that have called and set up consulting and said, hey, I wanted to quit my job in a year. And I've left the workforce and did this. It wasn't at my time. I didn't do it on my own thing, but I was set up like this. So I would say have a year's worth of living expenses you don't need to buy property with. And that's set aside. So now you know you have 6 months of running room in case your business, you're just horrible at it. Because not everybody's a good business owner. But let's have a year set aside that you can do that. Now, when you target your properties, you're going to want to be able to hold enough inventory that you can sell with whatever your run rate is. So for me, I try to keep anywhere from $200,000 to $300,000 in inventory. Now that's gotten up as high as $1 million. It's gotten as low to where I have $15,000 in inventory and I've got stuff coming into escrow. But there's the good average is there. I know what my turn rate is. So you need to understand that versus just saying, hey, I've got 50 grand in the bank. I'm going to quit my job and I'm buying land, because you may fall into a time like COVID happened where our mailer count to get a piece of property, it tripled, and land was moving so fast that our inventory was just burning through. Now we spent more to get a deal, but we started making more money per deal because we were buying better properties, bigger properties, and they were still turning as fast. So you hedge against your risk, put it together, and understand that it's going to be a sickening feeling for you. And I hate to be the Debbie Downer here, because it's tough to say, hey, you look at your kids, you look at your wife, and they want to go on vacation, and you need to buy another 50 acres or 100-acre property with that money. And that's where it's better served than going to Cozumel for the weekend. And you have to get okay with that. But 3 years from now, you turn that money 3 times or 4 times, you're in a totally different lifestyle. You sit back, you breathe, you can enjoy it. So understand, so I'll tie it all back together. Understand that you need to have the risk covered, and that it's not an overnight thing. It's going to take 3 to 4 years to where you get actually okay with not checking the clock for somebody, and putting it all together. You're going to have to be okay with that.
So you're saying it would be 3 to 4 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know you can do it quicker. I'm saying that 3 to 4 years till you're comfortable being on your own. Once you have that year set aside, draw that as your paycheck. So you know that you have a year's salary that you have running room on. If you have that ready to go now, great. Then if you have a line of credit you're buying your property from, I see a lot of people go, I'm going to use my self-directed IRA, and they don't necessarily know how to get the money back to pay themselves. So they're making their self-directed IRA look really good, but they can't pay their bills.
Can't spend any of that money.
Yeah, they can't dip into that money. So that is my thought on it. And I could be way off base, but I would rather not some guy or girl say, hey, I quit my job, now I got to feed my family, and my wife doesn't work, and now we're sitting there. Because I've had to have that come to Jesus conversation with myself. I'm looking at 2 kids and my wife's not working, and I've lost my job, and I say, okay, I have a year's salary in the bank plus money to buy property plus inventory. Can I make this work? And that was 2016 or 17, and we've made it work. And the first year, I didn't realize how much stress it was on me until we kind of got to take that breather.
Adam, would you agree with that, or are you not as conservative?
I think it kind of depends. I mean, I think people have definitely said I'm more conservative than Justin. Like I track every dollar, but it also, I need far less to live. I'm a single guy. I could take I don't have kids, right? Besides my dog, I could take a bigger risk without needing that, right? But it's definitely a comfort level. 3 years, we've definitely seen people build a big business and leave their jobs much quicker than that, right? Yeah. But we're very hard against saying, no, you're not going to make 6 figures in your first 3 months, 4 months. It's just, this isn't a get rich quick overnight type of thing. Your first year is definitely going to be a learning experience. Now, you may make a lot of money. We had a fireman come out and make a killing off of his first mailer, right?
He made $600 something thousand off his first mailer. Ended up doing 7 figures his second year too. And he had money to back though, because it's compounding. So he had backing behind it, but those results aren't normal. That's what we tell you at the live event. Hell yeah. We had a guy here, he made $1.5 million off this one deal he did last year. Yeah. And everybody's like, I'm going to make 1.5 million.
Yeah.
So you do it.
What's that?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, you can do it. You can leave your job quick. You can make a ton of money. But when we look at averages, right, your first year is a learning year. You're going to make money. You're going to keep learning. Your second year, you're getting better. By your third year, okay, you've got this on lock. You can get ninja on a county and go just mail these certain points or parts of the county and buy these. You know exactly what your inventory needs to be. You know how long it's going to take to sell things. I mean, you're just dialed in.
So if you were starting and wanting to quit your job, would you be focusing on creating notes, selling properties on terms, owner financing, or would you be just trying to flip them for cash, get faster cash reserve,
So go ahead.
I'm going to say a solid mix.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to build up enough cash flow to cover your business expenses, to cover some life expenses, but you also have to do those large cash flips that give you like the big income to come in. Right. I mean, cause it can take a long time to build up 100 notes that are, especially if they're paying $100, $120 a month. Right. Cause then you still have more money to buy land with.
Yeah. My average since we started, and I'm going to clarify something real quick, Joe. When I went on my own, my first mailer had just went out, and then I ended up on my own in my business. So when I say that I'm really conservative, I get nervous for people. I do that coming out of experience of knowing I didn't know as much as I needed to know. I thought I knew more than I did, and so I was forced to make it working at times. So I want to be more conservative because I don't want somebody to have the same panic attacks that I was having. But the note business on our side, it's an exit strategy at all times, but the way we set up the notes in my business is 20% of my sales go to notes. but they are 25 to 30% down. Remember, we're buying for 25 to 30% on 30 cents on a dollar. Our money's back out and it goes back to work. Then we've generated our income for up to 10 to 12 years at a certain interest rate. And so we've created cash flow for a long time. And I think right now I'm right around 50 notes that are paying every month, and they will for the next 9. They got about 9 years.
What's your average monthly payment on those notes?
Just over $250, like $250, anywhere from $250. My highest one's $700. Nice. So they kind of range in there.
Good. We're getting some questions from people here, awesome. And I want to bring them up. This is a question from Helena. I'd like to know how much it costs to survey the land, and how do you determine which lots are buildable, and awareness of wetlands. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
A couple, 3 questions in there.
Yeah, I'll take that. You know, the surveys vary in the different locations and when the last time they actually were surveyed. So the most I've ever spent on a survey is $9,000 on a ranch I bought in Virginia. It was 208 acres, very mountainous. Pins hadn't been done. There was a lot of zigzag parts in it. The cheapest I paid is $495 for a lot to have it surveyed.
You don't have to survey every lot, though.
No,
that's what I was going to say. Is that surveys aren't something that we always deal with. Once you get to these higher, nicer ones, and someone's getting a loan for them, yeah, for sure. But it's not like every deal has a survey.
Yeah, so and that's probably about 20% of the deals have surveys done. You will like when he said they get a loan for it, and the quality properties we're selling, these Bass Boat can get loans against. So they will ask for it. And typically what we've done deals together where we've just said, hey, give us $1,500. We'll give you $1,500 credit towards your survey. If it's cheaper than that, we pay cheaper. We pay all of it. If it's more, then you pay the difference. And that hasn't been a problem. The wetland question, the wetland checker, you can look up. FEMA has wetland checkers, and you just put in the lat longitude and you can check there and see about the wetlands.
Cool. And then I think there's a part about buildable. Yeah. A huge percent of this stuff, no one's building a dream home on.
Yeah.
It's rural, it's recreational stuff. At the most, they're putting a cabin on it. I got a guy who dug a 20-foot hole in the ground. He covered it with sticks and hay. He lives there. So that's the type of building that goes on here. It's not your 3,000, 4,000 square foot, stone brick dream home.
That reminds me of a question a lot of people I think have is if you're, and I've had this where you're selling a property on terms, and it's a contract for deed or a land contract. So that buyer will get the deed after they fulfill the terms, right? Mm-hmm. Are you concerned with them, violating all kinds of codes and getting in trouble with the county and then you're now the one responsible because you own the land? Does that make sense?
We have that they're signing. They won't do that inside of our land contracts. So in the event that it happens, you do have a little bit of risk there. And you kind of vet the person when you're talking to them, what they're trying to do. They're like, oh yeah, I want to live out here. I'm going to move in my RV and want a homestead. Those people you kind of have to watch. But on the flip side of that, I've had people that said, hey, we know we can't build on it. Call me 3 months later and say, hey, I'm going to build my house on here now. What do I need to do? Okay. I just turn it into a mortgage and call a title company and have it put in their name. Or, you move it to a deed of trust and have that recorded with the county.
Okay. The question from Keen, maybe. Adam, what's your click-through rate on your Facebook ads? Do you know that?
I'd be lying if I told you any kind of number.
Yeah, typically, for 10,000 views, we're going to have 1,000 people actually click on the link to look at it, and it's all dependent upon the wording. So if I leave the price out and like the location, I just put like a general area. If it's somebody in Tulsa and I put Southeast Oklahoma, or if I put it's in Dallas and I say, hey, just outside of Dallas, they're going to click to look to get that exact location. So it comes a little bit higher. But, idea is we want to drive people to that traffic and they see the brand or they see the type of land we're selling.
Quick question here from Stuart. What's the full name of the Plum site again? So Plum investing with a B, right?
Yep. PlumInvestmentGroup.com.
And how do you spell Plum?
PLUM.
Like there's no P.
Yep. P.
Okay.
Yeah. My last name is pronounced Sliva. It means plum in Czech. So
Czech.
Czechoslovakian.
Is that where you're from? Your family?
No. My grandparents on my mom's side are. I have my mom's maiden name.
I've lived in the Czech Republic before for a long time. Yeah, I loved it.
So they say, I guess the term they use for us there are bohunks because we're from the Bohemian Valley in the north of Prague.
All right, a question from Ingo, I believe. How much commissions are you paying the agents? Most agents here in Georgia ask for 10%.
It's going to vary. 6% on, I would say, is a strong number, but 5 to 10%. A lot of times when you see, at least in our experience, when you see an agent who's saying they want 10%, it's because the list price is fairly low, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. They'll have a border, or they'll have a line that when you cross that price wise, it'll go down to 6%. And if you find someone who's like, I'm only taking 10% on your $100,000, $150,000 property, well, unless they're the only agent in town, you've got options. Yeah. And so just go find someone else.
Yeah, 6 to 10% is a fair range. And there's a few states that do require that. South Carolina is 10%. Colorado's 10% standard. Arizona, typically they kind of range, but you'll see a lot of 10% there. But like Texas, 6%. And on houses, we have agents that do like 1.5% on those 1.5% for the sale, but give 3% on the buy. So it just kind of depends on the relationship you have.
How do you structure deals with realtors? I assume it's just like houses. They give you a listing agreement and you pay them the commission, right?
Exactly.
Right. Yep.
All right. Here's another question. Is there a way to quickly value a land parcel similar to Zestimate for houses?
Yeah, there is. One of the cool things about CoStar and how big they are and all the data they can put together. If you look at Lands of America and you put in a county, you can say, okay, hey, I'm looking for a 20 to 40 acre property. And you can actually get on the map version and zoom in and find your parcel and start working back. Me and Joe, we did this on the 6 or the 7 properties you're talking about in Jasper County, where you can actually see real listings sold and under contract right around your property. And so you know what that market's doing right there. And it gives you a good feel. And like with houses, you have fits and finishes on the inside that are going to change the value a little bit. Where on land, if it's got the same type of topography and trees, same type of access, then doesn't have any of the improvements, it's all going to be relatively similar in pricing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Landsofamerica.com. It's a great website. You can search for properties, filter them down to general size, location, go to the map, switch it from a list to a map, and you can really see some good comps there and sold comps.
Yep.
Very cool. But there's not a site that estimates the value of land like Zestimate does for houses, which I don't even know if it's working anymore now. They're making changes.
It does. They have the ability now with the geotagging. They can tell you what's going around it. They have that. But you're pulling data to do that versus just looking at the free site Lands of America. So Price is getting real close to being almost to the Zestimate format for land.
Cool. So how can guys get a hold of you? What's the best way?
Our website, Facebook, Instagram, everything is Casual Fridays REI. The podcast, Casual Fridays REI. Yeah, everything Casual Fridays REI.
Casual Friday REI or Casual Fridays S?
Fridays with an S. Yep.
All right. I'm putting a banner here. Let's see if this is correct.
That's it.
That looks good, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does look good.
Casual Fridays REI.com. You can find them on podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Do you guys have a favorite podcast app, by the way?
iTunes, really, for
Apple, yeah, wherever they can hear us. It's my favorite one.
Just listen.
All right. Are you guys on YouTube? Do you have stuff out there?
We do.
Yep.
Cool.
And more coming.
A lot more coming.
Instagram,
at Casual Fridays REI.
Nice.
We have our personal accounts there as well, so you can see that we're real people and we actually live lives that aren't just modeled shots and things like that.
And if people want to get information about your course, your coaching, your programs, they can get it there at casualfridaysrei.com, right?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
All right. Justin, Adam, good to meet you guys. And look forward to working with you guys soon. I got one more question here. Oh, yeah. Somebody's asking for the spelling of the priced, PRYCD.
That's correct.
PRYCD. So you can get more information about Casual Fridays, the podcast, at casualfridaysrei.com. Thank you, Justin and Adam. Don't go anywhere. I got a question for you. We appreciate all you guys very much. Thanks for listening in, and have a good one. See you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Joe.